Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus, course CPI. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome to the CPI report. Everyone hear me okay? I want to welcome everybody on YouTube that's watching our stream of the week. Thank you for joining us on YouTube today. Let me know that you can hear me just fine and see the screens. Yes, no, anybody? Okay, all right. So I've got gold on the right chart, ZN on the left chart. Let's take a look at the DMM, see what it offers today. Okay, so CPI, we're looking at a bond setup and we're looking at a gold setup. And I'll be trading bonds this morning. Now, we do have a big stop on bonds, which was related to one of the trades quite a few months ago. Chantal, I don't know if you have access to your notes. I don't remember what month we needed that 20-tick stop. I just wonder if the stop could be smaller. I don't know if you have a chance to look. If not, it's okay. I'm going to probably use a bracket of 7. That's the only real significant change I'm interested in doing. Gold can move really well on this report, and gold could certainly be very whippy also, but it's certainly a setup that has been working. So let's look at a couple of videos to get an idea of what's been going on this report. It was more than 1 month that we needed that stop. Is that what you're saying? Okay, that's fine. What was the most recent one? All right, while she's looking, I'm gonna pull up May. May 10th was our last CPI report. Okay, here we go. Now, don't forget, this morning, I called Ninja Trader because they've been very quiet about margin. And this is 4 times the day trade margin. 4 times the day trade margin is what the trade desk told me. And that's on like the major indexes, but we should just proceed as if this is using the higher margin amounts. So, we've been doing this every month. It's no surprise that we have high margins on this report. Okay, it is the way it is. It's a high margin trade. So last month, let me go to if I can find last month. Here we go. Here's May. May 10th. Little bit of chop, little bit of chop. And eventually it got to my targets. Try to be patient, I think, is the key. Try to be patient. It's very hard, very hard. When it chops, okay? It's hard to be patient when it chops. Let's look at April. All right, 15 seconds till April. It is such a beautiful day in Pennsylvania today. April had a very nice explosion, really good trade to the upside. And we were still looking at oil in April, not really looking at oil these days on this report right now. Now, CPI is a report. I'm sure there's some people in the room that probably trade the NQ. If Calvin's here, my guess is Calvin's probably going to trade the NQ. He has his own setups. You know, the indexes move. There's no question. It's not a trap trade, Roz. It's a breakout trade. And you could trade MGC. You could trade MGC. Keeping in mind that gold can whip. It can whip. I would consider trading ZF. I would trade ZF if you want lower risk. ZF should move fine on this report, and it's $5 a tick. So I would think that would be a good possibility. 10 seconds is the official cancel, Caesar. It's a report that I don't think we've ever canceled it. I probably would not cancel it. If the news was a little bit late, I would still trade it. I would not cancel this trade in general, unless something happened and it moved early or something of that sort. If the news was late, I would still trade it. And if I was going to trade ZF, I would trade a very similar setup. I might use, I'm going to use a 7 bracket, so you could use a 7 or 8 bracket, and I think the same setup should be fine. So I'm going to trade. I'm just curious if I had a template that I saved for CPI last month. So I'm going to look just out of curiosity for a CPI template. I probably have a whole bunch of them. My template goes back to March. All that means is I didn't, maybe my April might be the template. Yeah, that's one of my templates. Okay. So 829.59 is the trigger time, bracket of 7. We're using a stop of 20, and targets can be anywhere. I would say targets can be anywhere between 6 and 30. on your on bonds, 6 and 30 on bonds. If I were trading full size gold, I'd probably make my targets between 10 and 50, being prepared to manage my way out of the trade if 50 isn't hit. But 29 could be a pretty small target. So 829.59 is the trigger time. And then targets stop of 20 and a bracket of 7. And of course I like to test my bracket size. And then I'm just going to update my template, CPI ZN, and I'll date it today, the 13th. And in order to check your brackets, you just have to make sure you're on sim. And when you're on sim, you can also check your control panel up here and make sure that the account says sim before you enable it. I actually put myself into a trade this morning on bonds for 1 tick and wound up getting out flat. I don't even know how I did it. I had just woken up. I sat down at my computer and I must have accidentally clicked buy the market, and I bought the market. How many times has that happened to you? I mean, in my life, it's happened quite a few times. Okay, so go back to strategy. I'm going to put the time back to 8:29.59. Put my charts on live, and we'll look at a couple more videos. For folks that want to trade gold, the bracket is 12, activate at 59. I would do something like targets of 10 and 50, because gold could really move on this report. Now, if I were going to trade one contract, for instance, on ZF, say, and let's say there's a decent move, and let's say you use a target. So what are you going to choose as a target? So I would probably choose something like a 15 tick target, which I think is very reasonable on bonds. That's pretty big. It is a report that can move, very dramatically. So what you can do, though, is if you let me show you. I'm going to show on the right chart because my trade is set up on the left chart. So let's say you want to trade one contract. And the hardest thing about trading one contract is figuring out what the target is going to be. How do you know what to choose as a target? You don't. You don't. You can only go by, what our targets have been for the past months, and our outside target is no more than 30 ticks on bonds. And that's a little bit on the outside big size. So let's say you're trading ZF. And you're setting up your trade. So you're going to set up 8:29.59, for instance. Let's say you use a bracket of 7, but let's say you only want to choose one contract. We're using the same stop, 20. And your target, so let's say you choose a target of around 15 ticks. So you could use if the market moves X ticks. So let's say if the market moves 12 ticks in your favor, let's say 10, okay? It moves 10 ticks in your favor. Move your stop to break even plus 6. So what would that do for you? If the trade doesn't get to your target and it changes direction and reverses and does a serious reversal, then that could protect a little bit of profit if the market moves 10 ticks or anything up to 15. Obviously, if it moves 15 or more, it's going to hit your target. If it moves between 10 and 15, 10 to 14, you could say, then your stop will move to break even plus 6 ticks. So you're protecting 6 ticks of that possible move. That's what that would do for you. Okay, so that's not a bad thing to do when you're trading one contract, because sometimes if the market changes direction quickly, that lets you get ready and move without having to do it manually. In other words, it gets you ready to take a profit automatic. Because if the market moves 10 ticks in your favor, the stop's going to go to break even plus 6 automatically. Okay? Now, gold's pretty darn volatile this morning at the moment. At the moment. Not unusual, but it is what it is. Gold also has the open at 820. Okay, who's trading what out there? Who's trading what? I do want to thank everyone on YouTube for watching us. Thanks for coming to our stream of the week. You know, if you hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button and that notification bell, you'll know the next time we're going to stream. We stream every week, once a week. Usually the most exciting trade of the week. So who's out there? What are you trading? What are you trading? Eva, reluctantly, ZN. Okay, make sure you're on the right contracts, folks. The indexes have rolled over. NQ, ES, YM. They're on 9 now. Gold is on 8. GC 823, ZN 923. Let's check our time sync. By going to the website, time is. Okay, so what happens if my clock is not in sync? What do I do? So I use my program called Dimension 4. I'm going to close my time sync out, and Dimension 4, I press the Sync Now button multiple times until I see the synchronized line change, and then I can close my Dimension 4 and go back to time.is, and it fixed my time sync. Dimension 4 fixed my time sync. Now, don't forget that margins are up. So gold is expensive to trade. Full size, everything is expensive to trade. Let me send you the link that you need so that you always have it for yourself, because Ninja changed the link. Just so you're able to get the margin link for Ninja Trader. I'm posting it in the chat. That's the link. Now, I think that they are even confused about what they're doing for margins. Because in theory, intraday mini S&P is 500. And what he told me on the phone is 4 times that, $2,000 per contract. But what they said at the beginning of the days when they were increasing the margin is that they were going to charge 12,000. So because they're confused, and even when I call the trade desk, sometimes they're confused about what's going on with margins because they change them at the last minute, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes before the trade. So if you try to trade too many contracts and you don't have enough money in your account, it might not allow you to trade. It's possible. It could happen. Bonds at their worst, ZN is 2,500. ZF is 1870. Now you need more than that, right? You shouldn't, if you try to trade with the exact amount, it's not enough. But last time when I called them, they were saying that they were using not the intraday, but the initial margin. Initial margin is well more than 4 times the margin. So I've had lengthy phone calls with them and they couldn't give me great info. So I'm going to call them again and again and see if they can give me a straight answer because I can't always get a straight answer. I can tell you that, so in theory, the NQ, if he's what he says is correct, needs 4,000, not 18,000. So normally what happens if you try to trade when you don't have enough margin, you get an error that you don't have enough margin. You get a margin error. It usually won't let you trade. Let's take a look at March. We looked at May, April, and May. Sorry, let me get my time out of the way there. This was January in the same video. We could watch what happened in January. January had a little bit of a delayed move, but a nice move also. Had a very nice move. And then looking at March, March had a lot of slippage, and it did not work. Okay. March had a lot of slippage. All right. I'd love to see just a real solid move in one direction. Obviously, that's what we're always looking for. Good solid move in one direction. Now the news, let me show you the news. I'm keeping it off to the side so we can watch gold. There's a fair amount of elements that make up a CPI report. The core CPI and the year over year. So we're looking for less than 4.1, okay, year over year. Also the month over month, 0.2. So if we get numbers that are below what's expected, that's going to be extremely good for the Fed pausing, which is what everyone's expecting. So if the news is lousy, if inflation is up, I think the market will definitely see that as very bad news if inflation is up. I think that everybody thinks that inflation is moderating. That's the general consensus. So I don't try to guess what it's doing. So we have a lot of people watching us on YouTube. How about a few of you hit that like button? Hardly anyone hit the like button. I know you like seeing this. Hit that like button for us. We'd really appreciate that. Food is inflation. Food has not come down, Calvin. I agree with that. Food, housing, but a lot of other things have come down. So it's not just the one item that tells us whether we have a tremendous amount of inflation or not. Food is very inflationary still, it seems to me. And, capitalism is inherently a system that takes advantage of the news. Companies raise their prices, whether they need to or not. They'll look at any excuse to raise their prices, and they'll make believe it's inflation, even if it isn't. It's, the morality of capitalism. There is no morality. It's a system based on greed. It's the way it is. So anytime we're fighting inflation, we're also then fighting all the corporations that raise all their prices unfairly. It's the way it is. It's the way the system works. It doesn't. Not anymore. I don't think. I think the systems are crumbling. It seems like to me. There's not enough police. There's not enough anything. But there's plenty of crazy people. That we know. All right. We've got 2.5 minutes. That's my rant for the week. My weekly rant. In the area where I live, the whole highway collapsed. I mean, I don't even know why that truck was under there on fire to begin with. What happened? No one's even said what happened yet. And the truck driver died. No one even knew he was dead for like 2 days. He was in the truck dead. It's unbelievable. How did that truck catch on fire? Unbelievable. All right, we have 1.5 minutes. I'm trying to think, if you were in New York, that would be like the Long Island Expressway being unusable, or the FDR Drive, even worse, being unusable. All right, so now we're just waiting for the news. We have 1 minute. Just waiting, watching. Okay, 20 seconds.
Gold, I wouldn't trade. Oh man, no fill. I don't believe it. No fill. No fill. No fill. Oh man, a perfect move and no fill. What happened to everyone else? What happened to everyone else? Gold was not safe before the trade. I did not get a fill. Now, Eva, I want to see your one range chart. Let's look at a one range chart and see what happened because it looked like a straight shot down. Eva, where'd you get filled? Did you get filled like at 113.10, 113.15, somewhere in there? I think it's because of slippage, horrible slippage. 113, well, it's not really '06. It's in fives. It's in fives. If it's 113.05, it means you got filled at the bottom of the candle. ZF worked for Caesar. Okay, ZF, you got a fill. Sometimes you don't get a fill because there's no orders. There were no orders for me to get filled. So, and it doesn't always mean it would have been a bad fill. It doesn't always mean it would have been a bad fill. Roz did not get filled. Frank did get filled on ZN. I always prefer a fill, always. I want to get filled because when there's a no fill, it means there was a fantastic move in one direction. A very fast move in one direction. Roz did not get filled. Eva, what kind of speed do you have on your internet? Now, Langford, you are trading. Now, Eva, one thing you forgot about is that you're trading on a prop account, and that's a problem. That's a problem on trades that are fast on breakouts, especially Apex, with Apex. Yeah, yep, that's the problem, Eva. I mean, it's not real money. First off, it's not real money. I mean, that's the truth. It's time. It's time. It's not real money. So understand, folks, that companies like Apex, they're using a different data feed, and that's Eva, if you're the only one besides me that didn't get filled. Now I'm trading cash, so I didn't get filled just out of bad luck, just because I didn't get filled. It just happens. But you got filled at the worst possible place because the data feed doesn't work properly for a super fast breakout trade. And that happens all the time on prop accounts. We know it happens a lot on Apex, So Eva, the only thing I could say is I'm glad it wasn't real money. I hate to see you lose time because on a prop account, you're losing time, the time you spend to build up the account. But I don't want to go into a rant on prop accounts today. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, it's not real money. Trading in prop accounts, totally different. I'm going to take a look at a one range chart on ZN. Now, a lot of people made money. I mean, I don't see anyone having lost money. Now, same thing, Langford, if you're using Apex on ZN, it's very possible. I understand, even not a problem, not a problem. Not a problem. But people in cash accounts, I want to know what happened to people in cash accounts. That's what we need to know. That's the roll call I really want. Langford, I thought you were using Apex. Am I crazy? I don't know what. Oh, you're using Lilu. You're using Lilu, right? You're on Lilu. Con, you had no fill. What were you trying to trade, Con? Is it my trade? Same as me? Same as me? Yeah. There's no fill because it was a liquidity problem this morning. You know what's funny is I was thinking of trading ZB. I've been wanting to move some of my trades over to ZB. ZB usually has worse liquidity, so it doesn't look like it was a good liquid move because it was all wick. It was all wick. Today would not have been a good day to change to ZB. Now it's interesting that ZF people got filled because it's a lot of wick on ZF also. So a lot of people got filled on ZF. So that's a good thing. Did anybody trade gold? I thought that gold looked very unsafe a couple of seconds before the trade. So I said, don't trade it, but I wasn't as affirmative as I should have been. Now, Langford, you traded with Lilu, right? You're on Lilu, so I would think that their data feed might have similar problems that Apex has. What's your experience been? Larry, what do you mean? Why raise prices and lose sales? What do you mean? What do you mean? Why raise prices and lose sales? What does that mean? I'm just curious what you mean. Now, look, no fill is not the end of the world. Okay, um, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it's for the best because it means it might have been that if we did get filled, it's possible we might have gotten a very bad fill. It's possible. Um, it really means that there was a lack of orders available. Let's look. I wanted to take a look at first of all, before I look at the one range chart, Calvin, did you trade the NQ? It looks like the NQ mostly moved in one direction. Did anyone trade the ES? Who traded the ES? The yen is an interesting instrument also. A lot of wicks this morning, a lot of wicks. Okay, Langford, I don't know anything about Lilo's data feed. I'm not familiar with their data feed. Dutchy, you did a trap trade on NQ. Good thinking outside the box, Dutchy. Good thinking outside the box. If you want to type in your setup for people, they would love to hear it. They would love to see it. They would love to see what you did. Great thinking. Risky thinking because the NQ could move 100 ticks, right? Got to be careful with a trap trade. So let me go back to 6N. And 6N had a beautiful candle. I couldn't believe I didn't get filled. Honestly, couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I don't think I've ever had a no fill on bonds in all the years I've been doing this. Looking at the one range chart. Okay, let's go back to the moment of the news. Now, Chantal, are you here? I don't know if you can analyze the ZN with me here. I want to turn on my crosshair. Keep in mind that on my 1 minute chart, we did not see this move up, right? Did not even see that happen. Each little tick that took place. Hang on, let me put the right instrument on. I'm always looking at the New Zealand dollar instead of bonds. That's why I was a little bit crazy. It was the wrong direction. Okay, the New Zealand dollar had a gigantic move up. Okay, looking at 830 now on, hang on, ZN. 0923. Let me get my chart on the right thing. Here we go. Okay, back to 830. So here's what ZN looked like. And I'll put an indicator on. So at 8:30 and 1 second, okay, our orders went on the chart around here. There was no move up at all. Price went pretty much I'm just looking for the bulk of the move, and I'm not really seeing it on this chart. I guess there it is, right? So the price shot down, and there's like no volume on that move down. So that's what got me. No volume. No volume. The 1 second chart, it just, I mean, it'll show you different data, but there's a lot you're not going to see on a 1 second chart that you'll see on the one range chart. But the volume was really poor. Bonds were right. There's the move on the 1 second chart. And right before the news, there was absolutely no volume. Now you see more volume at the exact time, a second after the news. But it just doesn't belie the fact on the one range chart that there was no volume per tick. And that's why I didn't get filled. It was no volume. So, but still, it was a really good move. It may have reversed, Arthur, but it was a perfect trade. Perfectly tradable move if you got filled normally today. If you were lucky enough to get a normal fill, it was It was fast. It was definitely fast. But if you got to fill, um, people made money who got filled. People who made money got filled. All right. I want to thank everybody on YouTube for watching us. Make sure you sign up. Hit the notification bell so you know the next time that we are streaming. Hit the like button on your way out, if you would. Hit the like button on your way out. Thanks for watching us on YouTube.